I'm here. Golly, man. Ugh. I am here. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to come on. I hope you got the notification. Woo! It's hotter than a frog in a cast iron skillet. I don't know what to tell you. It's warm. My little air conditioner is not keeping up. I don't know why, but it's not keeping up. I hope you guys can hear me because it looks like my volume is turned down. Let me check over here.
Let's see if it's coming through. Let's see here.
So we may need to turn this air conditioner into the back because it's awfully loud. Uh,
It says one watching.
okay, that would be you. Can you go to the back? Can you change the air conditioner to the back, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there's been a lot going on. It is really warm. Man, I'm too old for this. It's got to heat. Oh my gosh. So you know the drill. When you come on, just make sure that you put in the chat where you're signaling from, so I can acknowledge you as soon as I see you. I will acknowledge you. And thank you everybody that is taking your time to come on this evening. It's been really busy. Sometimes I lose track of time, right? And uh, you know, and when I start getting emails and text messages, "Are you okay? We haven't heard from you. Where have you been?" Blah blah blah. Then, oh Lord, I'm looking crazy. Sorry, y'all. But then I go and I check and see, oh my gosh, it's been a month or it's been 3 weeks or however long. Thank you. And then I have to come on here and apologize like I do every time that so much time has gone by. Anyway, there's been so much going on, and I'm not even going to get into all of it because some of it you'd be able to relate to, and some of it, unless you live in Oklahoma and you're part of the party that I'm a part of, you wouldn't be able to relate to it. So I'm not even going to bother you with that. Let's suffice it to say, it's been a very challenging month. So anyhow, duty called, so I showed up. Leave it like that. Now, tonight, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was the medical community and not just my experiences, but others' experiences that have had to venture into the medical community over the last while. Now, I know some of the things that I say might be a little controversial. I don't care. I think that if you're still hanging out on this channel, then you must have some level of maturity. That's the only thing I can tell you. So I'm just going to, put it out there. I'm not trying to offend anyone. If you get offended, well, that's your right to get offended, and it's my right to offend you. It's my channel. So here's the thing. Ever since that grand experiment in 2021, when the whole world was subjected to the whims and the dictates of pretty much one person, um, who was actually a puppet, but who was supposed to be the leading authority on all things healthcare, um, I've been watching how things have devolved in the medical community. Like I said, when you sign on, make sure that you put your name and where you're signaling from in the chat. And let me make sure the chat's working. It's working. Um, but ever since then, the whole world was thrown into this, what I want to call, hi, happy camper, what I want to call a psyop, okay, a psychological experiment that was performed on the entire world at one time. Now, that's quite a feat. I mean, you know, it's hard to fool some people sometime. It's quite something to fool almost all the people, almost all the time. So it takes a high degree of deception to be able to do things like that. And you have to be practiced and well skilled in it. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm a deceiver, because I'm not. As a matter of fact, some people take issue with me that because if I actually tell the truth about them or how they do things or my opinion of things, they actually take offense to my telling the truth. So I wear that as a badge of honor. But anyway, these people took the whole world captive with what I would call a spirit of fear. They used fear when fear wasn't getting the results that they wanted as fast as they wanted, with as many people as they wanted. Then they started with the intimidation of, you're going to get fired or else, or you're going to kill grandma or else, or you want to, it was all, it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating. And then here we are 4 years later, three and a half years later or whatever, and finding out after study after study after study has come out that a large percentage of the world was duped into doing something that they otherwise would not have done, taking medical treatments that they otherwise would not have taken had they known the truth from the beginning. Now, I have several groups that I am a part of. Some are political, some are health oriented, some are food oriented. It's just different. And it's all kinds of people in these groups. But all of us were subjected to what they did, what these powers did a couple of years back. So ever since then, I've kind of had my eye on, yes, Happy Camper says, my husband's mother was killed by the reckless vaccinated. Yes. So I've had my eye on this for a while. The first 15 days, it was like, oh dear, because I don't trust the country or the government of the country that this supposedly came from. It's not the people, it's the government. The people are just pawns in their game. But because I don't trust that government, when we were told that it came from there, I thought, well, this ain't good. They have a vision to take over the entire world, right? So what better way to do it than to infect people and put them on international flights and send them all over the world? So that happened. But then when we were asked for another 30 days, to slow things down and all this, I took a step back because it started to feel like a con. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know why I had that sense. Thank God I did. But I had that sense that it was a con and that it was a very well-crafted tool of manipulation to see how much control the powers that be could take over the world. Now, you can call it conspiracy theory if you want to. I suggest you do your homework, do your research, and you'll find out that they make no bones about putting out on public display on their websites what their vision is. And part of it is to control the masses, to reduce the masses by any means necessary. And if you hang around long enough, hey, Stacker, if you hang around long enough, you'll be able to see everything that they're doing. Now, some people feel like, oh, this is just a conspiracy theory. I don't think paying, $5 and $6 for a dozen eggs is a conspiracy theory. Not when it used to be 78 cents. I'm just saying it ain't a conspiracy. And if it is, I'm solely bought into it because I know what I would be paying if I did not have chickens. Okay. So that's why I got chickens. But anyway, um, so I've been watching ever since then. And most of you know I'm a veteran. I served my country for several years. Thank you, Stacker, for the super chat. And he calls me Silver Mama. And I didn't trust the government then. I'm going to tell you. I know that sounds terrible, but listen, I don't even know the half of what they're capable of doing, but I've seen enough to know how diabolical this government can be, and other governments. Yeah, right. It's like what's his name? George Carlin said, "It's one big party, and you're not in it." Okay, so I've been watching. My concern as a veteran was that if I decide I ain't gonna play ball, I'm not going along with this craziness because I see what's happening. What if they decide? Well, we're not going to give you your medical benefits anymore because you are a non-compliant person. And that's when, and some of you may know this, that's when I started really looking into taking stewardship of my own health, right? And it's been a slow process. It's been a slow road. But it would take me, I would have to do another video to show you guys how I got to where I am right now. I didn't get here to this mindset because this is where I wanted to be, and this is what I wanted to think of the world I live in or the country that I'm a citizen of. But I'm just going to tell you how it's been. I've lost a lot of friends because of the selfish ambition of a handful of people who wanted to get rich, who are governed by big pharma, who don't care. You are a piece of the puzzle and you're expendable, and they don't care. And if you look back over these last 2 or 3 years with all this data and everything coming out about the therapeutics or whatever they wanted to call them that have killed my friends, okay, and some of my family members. So I'm not talking to you about a conspiracy. I'm telling you what I know and what I have experienced over the last 2 or 3 years, having to witness the deaths of people that I love and people that I know because they made a wrong choice. Okay. So when I started thinking about that, took a step back and said, "Now, wait a second. I'm not the one. Okay. They ain't doing that to me." It's been a long journey of me learning how to take care of myself. I'm still learning how to take care of myself, how to take care of my health. I have challenged my doctors. I have fired a doctor. I call her a quackadoodle. She's just a quack. I'm sorry. This woman wanted to double the dose. And I may have told you this before, but for those of you that are coming on for the first time, she wanted to double the dose of a medication that I had been on since 2016. And I don't know, I think all this thing that happened around the world just made me start doing a deep dive into some of the medications that I was taking and some of the treatment that I was getting. And I'm like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. So I started looking into these different medications. One of the medications that I was taking, they had done a 17-page study on that they released, the Mayo Clinic. It was like 20 something different organizations and establishments that had come together to do a study on this particular drug. And their consensus at the end, and this study came out like in 2017 or something, their consensus, hi Sharon, at the end was that that particular drug was not recommended. It was strongly recommended that it not be used for long-term use. I was 6 years into it. Now, at what point is it long-term? Okay. So I sent the whole study to my doctor and I said, why am I taking this when there's a study that's been done by your peers who said not to do this? Now, granted, she wasn't the initial one that prescribed me that medication, but she knows I was still on it and she had written me another prescription for it. And a lot of times, what these doctors will do is you go to them for the first time, they look at your chart, they see everything that you're on, or they tell you to bring all your medications. And all they do is look to see if any of them have expired, if you need a new prescription, to renew your prescription, and they just keep the ball rolling. They don't look to see, do you still need this? Or do I need to cut back on this? And I've had a couple of doctors say they were never taught in medical school how to wean a person off of medication. They're just taught you look for these different things and you write a prescription for this particular drug, but they've never been taught how to wean them off. In other words, when people go to these schools, they are taught how to manage your illness. They're not taught how to get you well. Okay, they're not into wellness. They're into sick care. So that's all they do is they write, oh, you need a drug for this. You got a pain here. You got something going on here. I have a drug for that. I have a pill for that. I have an IV for that. Oh, you're having side effects. There's a pill for that. There's a drug for that. It's never to get you well. Meanwhile, the doctors and big pharma are sitting on each other's boards, scratching each other's backs, getting rich off at your expense. So I sent her this study. I asked her, why am I still taking this? She says, because you have uncontrolled hypertension. Now, wait a second. If I've been taking this medication for 6 years and you're still calling my condition uncontrolled hypertension, that's a good reason to stop the medication because it ain't working, you quackadoodle. Anyway, the woman is a quack. So, you know what she did? She decided to double the dose. No, I fired her. I fired her because I said, I'd like to discuss an alternative. She doubled down on, listen, you have a 17-page study with the data, complete with the charts and everything, showing how I should not be on this medication at this point in my life, and you want to double the dose? What is wrong with you? So I filed an official complaint against her. I don't care if she ever practices again. She's not fit, as far as I'm concerned, to care for a rock. Okay? So I want to talk to you guys tonight about some of this stuff. Now, let me read the comments first because y'all be getting crazy. I want to see what y'all saying. All right. Yep. That's right. Constitutional Stacker said it was so obvious from the rip through. I still can't believe how many people fell for it. I know, right? Hi, Sharon. Hello, all. Glad to see you. God's continual blessings. Thank you. Same to you. They get kickbacks from to prescribe their drugs. Did you know the average doctor used to undergo a measly 40 hours of nutrition education? Now it's 20 hours or less. Let me guess. She also told you to cut sodium for hypertension. Yes! I'm going to get there. You're ahead of me. Hold on. Wait a minute, y'all. So I got notes because I want to make sure I cover this stuff. So that was my situation, right? These people got a drug for everything. The stuff that'll heal you, they got that too, but they don't have it for you. Okay. They want you sick because they're making money off of you. I heard a video today. I watched a video today of a YouTuber named MD Creekmore, right? Shout out to MD Creekmore. He doesn't know me, but I watched his video. And he had put out a video a couple of weeks back that he needed to have a couple of teeth pulled on the left side of his face. I think it was the left side. He needed to have a molar and a wisdom tooth extracted. So some of his family went with him because he was going under general anesthesia to have this done. He woke up and found out. Are you sitting down? just sit down for this one, okay? He woke up and found out. Number one, he flatlined twice. Number two, he flatlined because they gave him fentanyl. And number three, they pulled the wrong 2 teeth. Okay, this is where we are. This is where we're at. They killed the man twice, had to bring him back with Narcan, you know, the stuff that they give drug addicts when they overdose from fentanyl or whatever, if it doesn't kill them, which it killed him twice. They had to bring the man back from the dead because he had wanted to have 2 teeth extracted. And then the doctor had the mitigated gall to argue with him about which teeth were bothering him. He's trying to tell him it was on the right side. It wasn't on the left side. Man. And the doctor wants to tell him, no, he had the wrong teeth. Now, listen, folks, you're talking about gaslighting somebody. If I have a toothache, if I got a hangnail, I know which finger it is, okay? If I have an ingrown toenail, I know which toe it is. If I have a toothache, there's a pretty good chance I know which tooth it is. And the doctor pulled the wrong 2 teeth. So not only did the man die twice, had to be brought back by Narcan. It's not even funny. It's not funny, but it's hilarious. It's just absolutely hilarious, the stuff that these people do. And they want us to trust them. Yeah, no, the thrill is gone. Okay, I'm not doing that deal. You, look, come here. You need to take responsibility for your own health. Now, let me qualify what I'm saying. I'm not saying that every doctor's a quack. But what I'm saying is this. Years ago, they practiced medicine. There were good doctors that practiced medicine. Years ago, they would come to your house in the middle of the night if you were sick. Not during my lifetime. This was my mother and her mother, okay? They'd come to your house. They practiced medicine as well as they knew how. And there's always been bad actors in any profession, so I'm not saying it's always been perfect. But what I'm saying is when you get these people, the Rockefellers and all that are into money, they're Luciferians, they're Satanists, and all this kind of stuff, they love money. They have a bloodlust. They love sacrifice. You can call it conspiracy if you want to. I don't care, okay? I'm just telling you, this is reality, folks. This is where we at. This is who they are. This is what they do. You have got to take responsibility for your own life. Now, there's a doctor by the name of Sunil Dand. He's a doctor. He's a doctor of internal medicine. And that man, I'm surprised he's still on YouTube. That man will come on YouTube and say, if you get sick, don't go to the hospital. That's the worst place you can be. He says, yeah, if you break a bone or something catastrophic, okay. But other things, no. He said, don't go because the medical community has been compromised. It's terrible. I'm telling you. Anyhow, so I just wanted to give you guys some pointers because some of you know what I've been doing, right? 6 years ago, I was on, now listen to this, get your head around this. I was on 7 medications because I was told that I had a heart attack. That's what I was told. I know I was sick, felt like crap, never felt like that in my life, had the worst headache of my life, had pain in my chest and my back I had never felt in my life, broke out in a sweat. It was weird, okay? So I don't know if I was on my way to having a stroke or what, I don't know. It was bad, okay? And my husband took me to the VA hospital. And so they kept me overnight. I had this doctor in the emergency room who just kind of blew it off. Like I was just, I mean, I was in pain, y'all. And I had never felt pain like that in my chest till it was cutting my breath off. That went on for several hours, really. And then the doctor finally decided they would do a blood draw and see what was going on. So they wanted to keep me overnight for observation. They didn't give me any oxygen or anything. I'm just laying in there just, oh my God, it was awful. So all these hours go by and he comes back in the next morning, early in the morning, like in the middle of the night or something, and says, my blood draw shown that there were enzymes, heart enzymes in my blood. I said, what does that mean? He said, it means that your heart is in distress. He says, they're going to send me to the cath lab or whatever. Anyway, so they do all this stuff. And then they decided they wanted to do this, what do you call it? Anyhow, they put a stent in. And I was in the hospital for 3 days. Okay. So when I leave, first, and then let me tell you about that. This arm right here, this young doctor, bless his heart, I think he was a resident. He's trying to put a needle in my arm so that they could run the stent through this tube or whatever they do. He can't get it in, right? He can't get it in. They chopped my wrist all up trying to get this stupid needle in my arm till I finally had to say, because they got me stretched out like I'm being crucified, right? I can't move my arm or anything, either of my arms, because they're strapped down on this table. And the guy is killing me. He keeps cutting into my wrist and he can't get the needle in. And I said, can you just go through my groin? Because I know that's where my major arteries are. And they kind of blew me off at first. And I said, that's enough. Stop. Go through my groin or unstrap me and I'm going home. And, well, they didn't want that to happen. They were all young, probably scared for their careers and decided, we better go through her groin. So they did. They were able to get it in, threw me into another heart attack when they were doing it. Yeah, that was fun. And my blood pressure, I can't remember. My husband said it was, I saw the numbers on the monitor, but I didn't know that was my blood pressure, because if I had known that, I probably would have had another heart attack. When I saw those numbers, I didn't know that was my blood pressure. But anyway, they finally went in and did it. All right, that's the backstory. Here's the front story. When I leave the hospital, I'm on 7 medications, right? Before I leave, I'm going out and I'm out processing. And so I asked the nurse or whoever the person was at the computer, I said, when they were checking me out, I said, did I really have a heart attack? And the guy looked at the computer and he's looking, he says, well, like that, right? I'm thinking, oh, great. They experimented on me. It could have been major heartburn for all I know, because with women, it can present like a heart attack, and it could just be a terrible case of esophageal reflux disease or something like that, and it can present like a heart attack. And the guy was like, well, like he wasn't really sure. I don't know what he was looking at, but he wasn't really sure it qualified as a heart attack. Meanwhile, I've got 7 medications that I have to take now. So bringing us up till now, this year, it hit me about 4 months ago. I may have told you guys this, but for those of you who didn't know the story, hang in there. It hit me. Wait a minute. I also asked them, was there any damage done to my heart? They said, no, you were very fortunate. And I asked, what about the enzymes that was in my blood? They said it was very minimal, but it was there. It was enough for us to know that something was going on with your heart and we needed to take care of it right away. Okay. All right. No damage to my heart. I said, what about my arteries? And the doctor said there was no plaque, right? No hardening of the arteries or anything. He said there was just a very little bit of whatever they call it. He said it was very soft and we were able to move it out of the way. Okay. All right. Now, fast forward to about 4 months ago, 6 years later. I'm like, I don't know what happened. I wasn't thinking about it. Hey, just out of the blue. I'm like, wait a second. When I left the hospital, they told me my heart was normal, my arteries were normal, everything was fine. They put the stent in, I guess, just in case. I don't know. But if listen, folks, if everything is normal, why am I on 7 medications? For what? Why? So now I've been on this stuff for 7 years, and I got to find a way to get off of this stuff that I think is keeping me sick, right? Are you listening to me? Because I can guarantee you that some of you out there watching me are on medications that you don't need to be on. The side effects outweigh the benefits, okay? The side effects is what's keeping you sick. And they have another pill for that, okay? So now listen, I ain't anti-doctor. I like doctors. I like naturopath doctors. That's about it. Anyhow, let me go back to my thing. You can look up whatever medication you're on, you can look it up. You can Google it. You can see if there's any studies done on it. You can look at other medical channels. And I ain't talking about conventional medicine doctors, okay? I'm talking about naturopath doctors who understand both sides of medicine, like Dr. Eric Berg. Now, people say, oh, he's just a chiropractor. That man is well versed in medicine, okay? Chiropractor might be his specialty, but he also understands the human body at the cellular level and how different foods and medications affect us, all right? He's one doctor. Dr. Ken Berry, Berry, is another doctor. I think he's in Tennessee. Dr. Anthony Chaffee, he's in Australia. I'm telling you, I'm surprised. As a matter of fact, there's a big push to try to get these doctors off the internet because they are turning people away from conventional medicine that is killing people. You know, slow and steady wins the race. They're killing people slowly but surely over a period of time because they're over medicating people or they're prescribing them with stuff that they don't need to be taking. Oh, Lordy. Anyhow. Hi, Verenda. Hi, y'all. All of y'all that I didn't see because I'm on here losing my mind. All right. OTG, is this your first time on here? I'm only on one medication and I take it only for the side effects. Beer. You need help. Oh, Lordy. Amanda Secret Garden. It's the scariest thing to imagine they can make up bird flu. I didn't even get to that part yet. My husband said, make sure you talk about the bird flu. Yeah. Mandates and the ultimatums start again where they hold your meds in care, handsome for vax adherence. Yeah, okay, right. And they don't focus on changing the foods we eat. Y'all need to stop. See, this is how I end up being on here forever. Okay, y'all need to stop. It's true. But anyway, great minds think alike. All right. Did you know the third leading cause of death in the United States is malpractice? It ain't heart disease. It ain't kidney disease. It ain't even fentanyl. It's malpractice. The medical community is trying to kill us all. Listen, search for holistic doctors while we still have the internet. Take notes, okay? Whatever medication that you are taking, whatever you're taking it for, I'll tell you what my process was. This is what I did. Rather than just stop taking medicine altogether because it's poison, because a lot of it is, Don't do that, because depending on how long you've been on it, it could shut your kidneys down or whatever. You don't want to do that. What I did with this medication, I was telling y'all that the quackadoodle was trying to get me to take a double dose of. I looked up the holistic equivalent of that medication, right? What she was having me take was a diuretic. Why did I need the diuretic? Well, because I was still using regular table salt, which this could go, y'all listen, we go down a rabbit hole with this, okay? I was still using regular table salt, which has bleach and all kinds of other contaminants in it that raises your blood pressure. That's why they tell you, get on a low sodium diet. They don't tell you to use real salt. They tell you to just reduce your salt intake. Well, it'll keep you sick. It'll keep you sick if you do that, and they get to give you your blood pressure medication. So I'm not even going to go there. We'll go there one of these days. But Lord, we'll be here till New Year. Okay, so I'm trying to wind it down. Stacker, you are not helping. Oh my God, I'm trying to. Oh Lord. Anyhow, look, y'all. Look up the medications and find an equivalent for what you're doing. So this is what I did. When it came to that particular medication, I didn't want it to shut down my kidneys because it worked directly with my kidneys, right? I found the equivalent. And what I did was, because I was supposed to take one a day, I took one day of the prescription med. The next day, I took the holistic equivalent. The next day, I took the medication. The next day, I took the holistic equivalent, right? And I did that for like 2 weeks. The next time, I cut the medication in half. And then the next day, I took 2 of the holistic equivalent. The next day, I cut the prescription in half. The next day, I took 2 of now this is what I did for me, okay? I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not. I'm telling you what I did for me, what I felt comfortable doing. If I got a little nudge in my heart or something, say, don't do that, then I wouldn't do it, right? That's what I did until at the end of 2 weeks, I had completely transitioned off of the prescription medication and was completely on the holistic medication, right? Which was Hawthorne, which was a diuretic. After I used the diuretic for the Hawthorne for 3 weeks to almost a month, I started reducing that from 2 pills in the morning to 1 pill every day, right? Did that for a couple weeks. And then I started doing it every other day. And then I started doing it 3 times a week. And now I don't take them at all. And my blood pressure is stable. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. So that was that. Out of the 7 medications, I have managed to wean myself down to 2. And these last 2 medications that I'm on, just in the last 2 months, I've convinced my doctor to cut the dose in half on both medications, right? And I told her my goal is to be off of everything by the end of this year. Now, that may or may not happen. I have to keep monitoring my blood pressure and making sure all my numbers stay okay. And then maybe not. I may need more time. I may need another 6 months. I don't know. But here's the deal. The pharmaceutical companies are not going to run my life. They're not going to dictate to me how long I live or when I die. I'm not going to put the power of God into their hand over my life. Not going to happen. So when I saw how diabolical they could be, and not a bunch of psychopaths, they don't care what they do to you. As long as they're getting paid, folks, they don't care. So the other thing that I had to do was, I thought, the other reason that I did this, not just because of the whole heart attack thing and what I saw happen with the big, psyop that went on in 2021. But my thought was, what if they decide, because I don't play ball, they want to cut me off of everything? For some people, they are on medications that are literally life-saving medications. And there are things that you can do that can help enhance your quality of life without being addicted to prescription medication or IV or whatever. So one of the things that I looked into, now let me tell you what happened. There was this second wave of something that went through last year. I don't know if that was last year or the beginning of this year. It was in the last 6 or 9 months. I got really, really sick. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know what it was. I had fever that was hanging around 104, 104.5, and I could not get rid of this fever. And I had something going on with my chest. I could not breathe. It's like I couldn't get air. So my first thought was, oh, Lord, I'm having another heart attack. But if I even, or another heart attack, another, whatever. But if that wasn't the case, then what the heck was this that had me so desperately sick? I was in the bed for like 3 weeks. It was bad. And I could not lay down. If I tried to lay down, it wasn't very long at all, 10, 20, 30 seconds. And I'm sitting up gasping for air. So for all that time, it was like, for I know 2 weeks out of the 3, I had to sleep sitting up on four pillows in the bed because I was like that. I couldn't get my breath. So I had my phone, trusty little computer, and I looked up these different doctors and went to their websites, and I would type in what my symptom was and say, or I type in a keyword and see what they had to say about that. So I had this weird cough as well. And it was weird. It was deep. And I could, when I would cough or when I would try to take a deep breath, I would start coughing in this uncontrollable cough. And I feel this like a rattling in my back, like, oh God, I think I'm getting pneumonia or something like this, right? And so I looked up, what do I need to do about this cough? I described my cough. And one doctor said to get an herb called mullein. Okay, I had mullein. I already had that. So I made some tea because mullein is a cough suppressant. It helps. It's an antispasmodic is what it is. It stops your lungs and your bronchioles from seizing up like that. And I needed to rest. And I knew if I didn't rest, I wasn't going to heal. So I made some mullein. Well, it took care of the spasms, but I was still kind of congested, right? And I still had fever. And I'm trying to figure out, what do I do about the congestion? So I looked that up because I wanted something. I had NyQuil, I had Dayquil. I didn't want to use none of that unless I just had to have it, right? But I wanted to exhaust all my other options first. So I looked into that, and this other doctor said, thyme. He says, you have it in your kitchen, probably. If you like to cook, you probably have this herb in your kitchen. And I thought, some pronounce it thyme, some pronounce it thyme. It's Thyme. And he said, this is an expectorant. He said, if you take a half a teaspoon of crushed thyme, it can be dried or it can be fresh. He says you chew it until you start salivating, swallow it, chase it with 16 ounce or 8 ounces of water, 6 to 8 ounces of water. He says, I guarantee you in 24 hours, you're going to start feeling better because it's going to start moving that stuff out of your lungs. I didn't know thyme was an expectorant. All I did was cook with it, right? So I tried that. That stuff is nasty. Let me, oh my God. Ooh. If you like bitter stuff, you're going to love that. But anyway, it was nasty. And I said, I can't do it like this. So I checked into, can I make a tea out of it? They said, yes, you can. And then I thought, okay, I got the coughing under control. I know that peppermint helps open up your bronchial tubes. We all know that, right? It helps you breathe better. But what I didn't know was, can I combine the three and not have some kind of a negative reaction? I looked that up. Yes, you can. So I told my husband. He made me a little batch of mullein with a little bit of thyme in it, brewed it together with some peppermint. That stuff was gross. Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyhow, I found I didn't even have to drink a whole cup. If I took 2 good sized gulps, that was it. That was a thorough dose. The next day, I started coughing and it was productive. The good thing is, it didn't have any color to it. The strange thing was, I'm not trying to gross y'all out. It was kind of foamy, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Well, that meant that it was viral. It was not bacterial. So I knew I have a virus now, right? I got a virus. It's not bacterial pneumonia or anything like that, because it would have been green or it would have been yellow. So, okay, this is viral, so it's going to have to run its course. And what I can do is strengthen my immune system while I'm trying to work through this, right? This is what I mean by, if you go to the doctor, you know what they would have done? They would have given you an antibiotic, which does absolutely nothing for viruses, okay? They would have gave, or steroid, something that'll help you feel better in the moment. But as soon as the steroid wears off, now you've got all the repercussions of having that steroid in your system. You don't have to take a steroid. Let me tell you, God has put things on this green planet to heal us. We just have to know where to look and how to use it. So that's my story about that. So I did that. By the time I got out of my bed, almost 3 weeks later, I had lost about 12 pounds. I couldn't eat that whole time. My husband made me some soup. Thank God for dehydrated vegetables. I'm telling you, because I made the first batch, drug myself into the kitchen, made one batch of soup, a fairly large batch. And I tried to put, meat and stuff in it, but I didn't want to make it too heavy because I didn't want to vomit, right? Oh, Lord. Anyway, sorry, y'all. But I'm just telling you what happened. You got to take care of yourself. And so he just added to the soup that I had made, and he would bring me that once or twice a day because I didn't have an appetite. I lost about 12 pounds. And when I finally was able to get up, go in the living room, sit up for a while and all that, I got on the scale and saw I lost 12 pounds. I was like, hey, wait a minute. I don't recommend this for a weight loss program, but guess what? Since we're here, I might as well keep it on, which takes me into my next thing. Now, what the medical community does not tell you is that a lot of the food that you're eating is toxic. It is poison, and we've been eating it our whole lives. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole thing yet, right? It's for another video. But I will tell you this, ever since then, these same doctors that I was telling you guys about earlier talk about this stuff, right? I started listening to what they were saying. I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. All right, so let me try this. Let me try that. Now, for the last several years, I have been using real salt. I mean, real salt. I stopped using Morton, the white table chemical stuff. I stopped using that a few years ago. I did not know that I didn't know everything that it had in it that our body needs, right? I didn't know all that. I started researching that just this last year or two, even though I had been using it for a while. And let me get back to the white table salt. The reason that they tell you to go on a low sodium diet, like I said, is because that stuff is poison. Or it's just poison. That's what it is. You look it up. Just look it up and read what's in it. And you will see, why the heck do I need bleach flowing through my system, sprinkling it on my food? I mean, serious business, y'all. I use Redmond Real Salt. That's the brand I use. Some people use Celtic salt. I've not tried that. Other people use what do you call it? Sea salt or whatever, rock salt. That pink looking stuff. I've not tried that. It's to me it's very easily counterfeited by just taking regular rock salt and dyeing it. But anyway, if you're going to look into Redmond salt, read the back of it and you'll see that it has all of the trace minerals and stuff in it that you need. Now, let me tell you something. I'm going to show you something. You see this? This here, this is I do this twice a day. I empty this thing. And I'm not even having to force myself because I changed my diet. I have to have the salt, right? It's like I said, this is a whole nother video. I'm trying not to go there. Some people know, some of you guys on here know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to get into it. I get into it in a different video. But anyway, I drink 2 of those a day, not because I'm forcing myself to drink water, because before I hated the taste of water. I wasn't thirsty. I didn't want it. Nope. I didn't drink. If I went to a restaurant, then, they'd fill my glass. They'd ask you, what would you have to drink? Glass of water with some ice and lemon. And I never drank it. It was just, I'd take a couple of sips and then that was it. With this, if I don't drink this, these are electrolytes in here that I use a company called Element, LMNT or LMNT or whatever it goes. Or I use a company called Keto Chow, and they have electrolytes called Salt T, right? With a T, just the letter T, not T-E-E. But anyway, and what I have found is since I changed my diet, I need the salt or I'll get a headache. And not only that, but my blood pressure stabilized when I stopped eating the other salt, came off the medication, and started drinking salt water. Okay. I know. It sounds absolutely opposite of what you've been told your whole life. But I'm telling you, it's the truth. I would not come on here and lie. All right. I drink 2 of those a day, and I don't even have to force myself. It's kind of like I look at my husband and shake the thing and say, my cup's empty. My cup is empty again, because I have to salt my food. And that's what these doctors will tell you. You have to have the salt. You need the minerals. You need the potassium. That table salt, it don't have that in it. They took all that stuff out. That's why when you eat too much of it, you swell up or you hold fluid, because it doesn't have any potassium in it. And you have to have the potassium to work with the salt to tell your brain, to tell your kidneys what to do, right? If that's not happening, if those signals aren't happening, then you just start retaining fluid along with the carbohydrates that you're taking in. Carbohydrate. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. But anyhow, I was telling somebody about that earlier. I said, when you're taking in a lot of carbs, they tell your cells, the carbohydrates tell your cells to hold on to fluid, right? Your cells to hold on to fluid. That's why when you go on a low carbohydrate diet and you stop taking in those carbs, you start going to the bathroom a lot, especially if you're taking in a natural salt, because it's releasing the excess fluid out of your tissues and out of your cells. But you're still losing fluid, right? And that's why you need to take the electrolytes. Now, there's another lady, her name is Steak and Butter Gal, right? I don't watch her a lot, but I have watched her. I use some of her recipes. Anyway, shout out to you, Steak and Butter Gal. What was I going to say? Okay. I use some of her recipes, and in her recipes, she shows you how to cook, what things you can eat. I think she's an obligate carnivore. I think, meaning that some people, all they will eat is, as Dr. Chafee is an obligate carnivore. Only thing he will eat is meat, salt, water. That's it. There's a whole lesson behind that I don't think I have. I have enough knowledge that I could tell you about it, what I'm doing and what it's done for me, but I'm not an obligate carnivore. There are still some vegetables I'll take in if they're very low in carbs. Um, like green beans is considered medium in carbohydrates. My goal is to stay under 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. And I also do what they call OMAD. I eat one meal a day. I take the doctor's advice when he says eat until you are satiated, or as Dr. Chafee says, until it stops tasting good. When it stops tasting good, don't eat anymore. Now, what my husband and I have found, and by the way, I've lost 25 pounds, and that was without exercising, okay? That was just losing fluid and losing fat, right? Anyhow, wait a minute. Let me read y'all. Okay, let's see. Iodine. I think iodine is in the salt. Verendia says she uses pink Himalayan salt at times. Yes, iodine is so important. It occurs naturally in salt, but they take it out to make. Yeah, that's right. That's why you have to use a salt that's not been molested and and stripped out like that. OTG says he makes his own Gatorade, iodine, honey, salt, apple cider vinegar. Wow, woo, that's intense. I do still use apple cider vinegar. My digestion is changing also, I noticed. And so every now and then I have to take a couple of swigs of apple cider vinegar if I took in too much fat. That's a whole, y'all, one of these days I'm going to do a video on this, right? It's a thing. So there is no such thing as the essential carbohydrates. That's right. Some things we should eat happen to have limited amounts, but we don't need the actual carbs. No, we don't. Constitutional Stacker says, I like steak and butter gal. Yeah, she's cool. She's tall too. She's the same height as Dr. Barry. Yeah. No, Dr. Baker. Anyway, and he's tall. And you should. Low carb veggies are fantastic. They help balance our pH and keep us alkaline to a degree. Yeah. Been OMAD for years, but I drink beer. Soon I will replace beer with exercise. That might be a good idea. Okay. Apple cider vinegar tastes horrible, but great for heartburn. Yes. And many other things. Yes. And so what I have found is like today, let me tell you what happened today. Today, I cooked some pork chops, and usually my husband and I will load up on meat, and meat. And today, like I think maybe once or maybe 3 times a month, we might have a vegetable, usually a green bean. But we haven't had anything like that in eggs. We'll eat different kinds of eggs. We use different recipes. Today I decided to take a chance, right? Because the doctor said after you've been doing it for 30 to 90 days, then start slowly incorporating something back in to see how your body responds to it. So it's called an elimination diet. You will find out what's been poisoning you, right? When you wake up and you're just feeling sore all over or sick all over, it ain't necessarily your pillow or your mattress, okay? And especially if you didn't do a hard workout the day before or earlier in the day or whatever, it's something you ate, honey. It's something you ate. And your body is saying, yeah, don't do that again. So today, we decided to give it a whirl and see what would happen if we ate potatoes, right? Ooh, Lord. Yeah. So these were in the can, right? Which this was like part of my emergency supply. So we took one can of potato. white potatoes. And I had some green beans. And so he took the potatoes. I said, make sure you wash them off really good. So he washed them all, sliced them all up. I said, wash them again. He washed them again, washed them again. And I added them in with the green beans, right? But I took something called berberine before we ate. Now, why did I do that? Because berberine it comes from a berry. It's natural, and it helps stabilize your blood sugar, right? I did not want a spike in my blood sugar, right? Because what I find is when I eat carbs, if I eat a carb, it puts me out. I'm out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, and I mean in a dead sleep. It spikes my blood sugar, and then I crash. So I'm trying to get that under control too, because that's not something that they told me. That's something that I discovered when I asked for a copy of my labs. They sent it to me, and I went through my numbers and was looking it up online because they didn't tell me. And then I went back to the doctor, and she's, oh, this is normal, and this is within normal range, and this is within normal range. And I'm like, yeah, but that 5.5 A1C, that's within normal range. Oh, yeah, it's within normal range. I said, but it's at the high end of normal, isn't it? Well, yes. And, she kind of looked at me like she finally realized she didn't have a dummy. This is a new doctor. I said, Well, what she didn't know was I had already been taking this berberine, right? If I had not been taking that because I had a suspicion that my blood glucose was high, I had a suspicion, right? I hadn't had no blood test yet, just a sneaky suspicion, because I had this weird pain in my foot, and it wasn't gout. I don't have gout. It was a weird pain in the heel of my foot. And I'm like, what is that? And it wasn't in the back, like where your Achilles is. It was on the bottom of my heel. And it felt like, I can't explain it. It almost felt like I was stepping on a thorn, but there was nothing in my foot. I asked my husband, take a picture of my foot, the bottom of my foot, because I wanted to see that it looked different. It looked different. There was a black and blue mark on the heel of my foot, but it was down into my foot. So I didn't know if it was a broken vein, blood vessel, whatever was going on. And I thought, oh, dear me. So I had a suspicion that it had something to do with my blood sugar. And I looked up, what's the natural thing? Berberines. I had never heard of berberine. So I started taking that. Now, I said that to say this. I had been taking that stuff for 3 months when I finally had my blood test. And my blood glucose, my A1C was at 5.5, which is within normal range, so they say, but is at the high end of normal. If I had not have been caring for myself up to that time, what would it have been? I could have been headed toward type 2 diabetes, right? Or being pre-diabetic. So this is what I'm saying. They don't tell you stuff. If you don't ask questions, they're not going to tell you. And they could get very ticked off if you let on to them that you know what you're talking about. Because they got this ego going, I'm the one that's been to medical school. Yeah, well, you need to get your money back, okay? Because they didn't tell you half the stuff you needed to know. Not if you want to be my doctor. But anyhow, secondly, am I hollering? I don't want to holler at y'all. Secondly, oh, let me tell you about the potatoes, okay? So, we ate the potatoes. Now, we took the berberine about 30 minutes, 20 minutes before we ate. I didn't get sleepy. If I don't do it and I eat a carb, which is very rare, it'll put me out. Thank you for the super chat. But you know what happened to both of us? Both of us got banging headaches. We've eaten green beans before, no problem. We've eaten pork before, no problem. We ate those potatoes. I started getting a headache like 20 minutes later. I was like, man, my head hurts. And he was washing dishes. He said, I feel like I'm getting a headache right here. We just got looked at each other. So much for potatoes. Can't have that. So I said, look on the back of the can and see how many carbohydrates is in that can. So he looked on the back of the can, and I think it said for the whole can, it said something like, I don't know, well, I forget what it said, 27 grams of carbs. And no, it was, yeah, it was 27 grams of carbs, but some of that was fiber. So you subtract the fiber, right? Because you don't digest it anyway. And so between that and the green beans, I think I took in about 29 grams. And I try to stay under 20, but 29 is not terrible. And most doctors tell you if you're under 50 grams, it's considered low carb anyway. However, what I want to say is it depends on what you're trying to do, right? If you have a lot of metabolic issues, autoimmune diseases, and things like that, it would be good for you to do an elimination diet, in my opinion, okay? Because that's the only way you're going to find out what is making you sick. Some people, it's environmental. A lot of times it is food. Also, you have to look into how much sugar you're taking in, which is carbohydrates. And sugar can be, you got to start reading labels. If you want to get well, you have to start reading labels. Maltodextrin and dextrose, and that stuff is worse than sugar. It's poison. So when you look at labels and it has that in it, I don't care if it says, and natural flavors. If it says and natural flavors, that could be anything. That could be sugar. That could be fructose, right? Like high fructose corn syrup. Your body can't digest that stuff. It just, ooh. Anyway, man, I've learned a lot in the last 3-4 months about my health. I'm still losing. And, if this is something that you want to look into, then I would strongly suggest that you look up those doctors, their YouTube channels, and look into it and see if it's something that you want to do. This is not a diet. They call it it's not a diet. It's really a lifestyle, because once you find out what you can't eat or what you can eat, but you're going to pay the price for it, like I did with some green peas. Oh, Lord. The green peas, that was last month, I think it was. That was the last time I had a lot of carbs until today. And my husband and I shared a can of green peas, supposed to be sweet green peas. I hadn't had any carbs, right? I'm telling you, it felt like a train hit me. I will never eat that again as long as I live. My body cannot take it. It acted like a poison in me. I was sick. And I was sore. I was inflamed everywhere. And I had to take some cat claw, which is like natural Motrin. I had to take cat claw to get the inflammation down. It was terrible. I'll never touch that again. Some people can eat it. I can't. It's high in carbohydrates, and it gives inflammation. Chronic inflammation is what's killing us, folks. That's what's doing it. And the standard American diet is designed to make you sick, to keep you sick. It'll keep you alive, but it'll keep you sick, right? So that you are beholden to the pharmaceutical companies, because you need what they're pushing in order to deal with your symptoms. So I'm just saying. Now, see, now it's after an hour, and I was trying not to be on here that long. Okay, let me see. I'm going to read y'all stuff. OTG Dark Scout says, I also studied 2 only carb diets, only potatoes, potato fasting, and fruitarianism, which is only fruit. Both seem to work well. Well, some people can do it. I can't. Now, some of the fruit, it seems like the ones that I love the most, I can't eat. Because, see, here's the thing. With me, because I found out what my A1C was, being at 5.5, and that was after I had been treating myself with the berberine for like 2 or 3 months. If my sugar was that high and I was taking something to stabilize it, it was higher before that. So I don't want to take in the sugar because it's going to kick my numbers back up. And I'm trying to I want to get down to a 5 or a 4.5, which is excellent. I want to get further down. So I used to eat, I love grapes and I like bananas and I love dark cherries. And all of them are no for me because they have such a high sugar content. Fruit juices, can't drink them. I used to love cranberry juice, can't drink it. It's got too much high fructose corn syrup in it. I can't drink it. So gives me inflammation. It's not good for me. There are some fruits that are low in sugar, but that are high in vitamins and stuff, like blueberries are not very sweet, but they're good for you. So people can eat that. They're low carb and they're good for you and they're not high in sugar. Let's see. Stacker says the food guide pyramid recommends about 300 grams of carbs a day, which really means 300 grams. That's exactly right. 300. Oh my God. No. Nope. I'd need a wheelbarrow. You'd have to roll me through the door and then I'd get stuck. So no. I follow two brothers that are fruitarian marathon runners. Well, they need the carbs. They need the carbs because they're burning it, right? But most of us ain't running marathons. So we don't need all that. You don't need that if you have a desk job, or you're doing something or you're just standing there working a cash register. You don't need all that fruit. Anyway, let me see. I thought I watched them die. Still going after many years. They live primarily on mangoes. Wow. Snap pea pods are much better, but berries are okay with me. Some of the other fruit jack me up. Yep. I drink ocean spray, no sugar, cranberry juice. Okay. High fructose corn syrup is deadly. Got that right. Hi, Dorian. Simple and complex carbs. Complex carbs have more fiber. Okay. So let me say something about that real quick. I was listening to this doctor, and he said somebody asked him what was better, the white bread or the wheat bread. He says they're both wheat. It's just that one is more processed than the other. The problem that they have with wheat products, these naturopath doctors, is that sometimes if you have a sensitivity to it, it can, cause leaky gut, right? Meaning that if you eat it over time, or these breads that have lots of seeds and stuff in them, they can make these little micro cuts in your gut over time, and then you develop what's called leaky gut, right? Which is toxic. It gets into your bloodstream and you get sick and blah, blah, blah. So all that's going on. But you have to look after yourself and figure out what it is you want to do. Do you have a lot of metabolic issues that need to be healed? Do you have autoimmune diseases? Do you have, all these different things? There are so many testimonies out there of people like Jordan Peterson's daughter, Michaela Peterson, all these different people that were desperately ill, had all these food allergies, couldn't hardly eat anything at all without getting sick or being laid up in the bed. And they stripped down to meat, just meat, right? What's highly recommended is meat from a ruminant animal, an animal that has more than one stomach. Why? Because the food that they eat is highly processed, and you are what you eat, right? So you figure these animals, camels, sheep, cows, whatever, goats, they are microprocessing the food that they eat. So when you eat them, you're getting the nutrients that they took in. This is why Dr. Chafee feels like all you need is meat and salt and water, because everything else you need, you're eating it when you get the meat. Now, some people don't agree with that. Some people feel like, yeah, I need me a a mango or whatever from time to time. And that's fine if you want to do that, right? That's fine as long as you don't have a reaction to it. But understand that there are some things that you absolutely can't do depending on what it is you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to achieve weight loss, there are some things that you simply cannot eat, or you're going to stunt your own weight loss, right? You might lose a little bit and then you're going to plateau and you won't lose anymore because you're taking in something that's fighting against your goal, right? The other thing is, are you trying to get off medications? Are you just trying to be more metabolically healthy? What do you need to do? Well, I explained to you what I did, and now I'm down to 2 medications that have been cut in half from 7. And my goal is to be free of them by the end of this year. Now, maybe not, y'all. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If my blood pressure starts creeping back up for some strange reason or whatever, then I'll see. Do I need to up my electrolytes or do I need to up my exercise? I'm not going to be hitting no gym because I have an injury in my knee, okay, that doesn't seem to be getting any better. But I'm hoping that what I'm doing will help bring healing to the damage that's in my knee. That's what I'm hoping, because I have heard of people doing this. I've heard of people, their arthritis going away. And all kinds of stuff has been happening to people. And they say they feel better than they have since high school because the inflammation is gone. All the stuff that slowed them down from being able to play sports or whatever it is they want to do, or play with their grandkids or their great grandkids or whatever, they're able to do things that they weren't able to do before because that chronic inflammation is gone. And that's what's killing us. It's the inflammation that's killing us. So anyhow, let me see. Dorian Clark Davis, simple and complex carbs. Okay, I read that. Crafty Stacker, hello. Tart cherry juice, anti-inflammatory. It helps you sleep. I had another person tell me that he was a medic in the Navy, and he said something to me about tart cherry. Humans don't need fiber. No. Diverticulitis, yeah, tears in the intestine. If you'll take rice, white and brown, you'll find this. There is 1 gram of fiber difference, which controls the glycemic index. The brown is 1 less gram of sugar, but it has anti-nutrients. Yes. See, this is another thing. Oh, Lord, I need to let y'all go. But this is another thing. Some of the things that we eat actually block nutrition from getting into our system, right? You're really going to have to take an interest in your own health and see what this is. Now, some people, they'll run to the doctor for anything. I'm sorry, not me. No, I've seen too much. I've lost too many friends. Yeah, I know too much. I'm not running to the doctor for everything. And if I do, it'll be a naturopath doctor. Now, I will continue to use this system to look at my numbers, my vitals, and all that so that I can see what is it I want to do. But what you got to remember is when you look at these things, they're going by the American Standard Diet. Remember that. One of the things that my doctor was kind of freaking out about when she did my blood test was she was looking at my cholesterol, which was, now they wanted to be like under 100 or so, depending on who you ask. They wanted to be under 100. Last year, like last April or this past April, it was like 109. And she was like, it was just a little bit above where we wanted, but you're doing a good job. Well, I went back this last time. She looked like she wanted to put me in the hospital. It's 222. She was freaking out, right? I'm just looking at her because I know from what I've studied and what I have read is not all cholesterol is bad. It depends on what kind it is and what it's doing. If it's these tiny little things that's bad, that's half dead, that's lodging in your arteries, yeah, that's bad. But you need the big puffy stuff that acts like the neighborhood garbage truck that goes around and gathers up this stuff and processes it through your system and it comes out in your waste. You need that cholesterol to clean up your system, right? So she's watching my numbers go up and she was freaking out. And I was just sitting there looking at her like, you're looking at this as if I'm doing the standard American diet and I'm not. So you need a different, foundation to look at my numbers from. Because if you look at it from that foundation, yeah, you're going to be wanting to put me in the hospital and I ain't going. So, because you know why. Because people don't come out. That's why. Or they come out with the wrong teeth pulled out or whatever. Anyway, I know I don't wore y'all out. Let me see. You need inhaling peptides. Yes, you do. For your need. Yes, I know. I'm a believer in regenerative medicine. I know, right? Hi, Shirley. It has been a while. So you guys just think about what I said. Let me make sure I covered everything on here I wanted to. The last thing I wanted to tell you about this is don't be afraid to fire your doctor. This is a real my body, my choice issue, right? This is not a political thing. This is a life or death thing. And when you have doctors who are locked into their mindset, they're not even willing to look at the latest data because they're so busy trying to be great with their peers or, just trying to keep their job or trying to keep their paycheck at your expense. You can do better. Fire your doctor, okay? Ask them questions. If they give you some pat answer like that lady did me, Miss Quackadoodle, when I said, why am I taking this medication when your peers say it's not good for me to do this over an extended period of time, and she wants to give me some weird answer like, because you have uncontrolled, that is stupid. Stupid. After so many years, if it's still uncontrolled, it ain't working, lady. What's wrong with you? And the fact that she did not want to offer me an alternative, that was it. I fired her. So don't be afraid to fire your doctor. Find a doctor that you can communicate with that will work with you. That will work with you. Let them know this is what I want to do. And don't think that just because they prescribe you something, you have to take it. You can look it up or that they can tell you it's supposed to be a discussion. They're not your bodyguard. They're not in control of you unless you give them control of you. So if they want to give you a medication, say, let me look it up first. I want to see what the side effects are because you might be like, I ain't taking all that. May cause blindness and death. And then they want to come out with a commercial later on talking about you can sue. Yeah, I want to see somebody do that that they killed. How you going to sue them for it? Come on. Anyway, look, take control of your own health. All right. I'm working on mine. My husband's down 50 pounds. I can't stand him. I'm thinking we both started at the same time. How you down twice as much as me? Then Dr. Berry tells women, don't get discouraged. You have these things called hormones, that work differently in women than they do in men. And so your weight's going to come off a lot slower. You're going to do 3 steps forward, 2 steps backwards, where ours will generally just start dropping off. And that's exactly what's happening. He's down 50 pounds, ain't did a lick of exercise. Now, he does do a lot of work, stuff around the house, but ain't neither one of us cracked the door in no gym. And he's down 50 pounds. I'm down 25. What the heck, right? So, and I am exercise. So anyway, there you go. Well, you guys, it's been fun. I know, Amanda. It's terrible. It's terrible. So it's serious, you guys. It's serious. And now they're trying to come out with the whole bird flu thing. I'm not even going to. We'll be on here another hour. Listen. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. This is my concern for carnivores, right? When they try to make it illegal for you to have livestock, for you to have cows, for they make beef so astronomically expensive that you can't get it or you can't afford it, or it's a choice between, your ribeye steak and your light bill, and you get to where you can't maintain that diet and you have to go back to eating the stuff that you were eating before. I'm looking at the times that we are living in, excuse me, and that's why I have not cut vegetables out altogether. Because if meat or beef or whatever gets so astronomically ridiculous that I can't buy it or I choose not to buy it, my body won't go into shock because I don't have it. Because I do still eat some vegetables. I don't eat all of them, but I do still eat some that are very, very low in carbohydrates. So again, you have to decide for you what you want to do. But that is a question that I posed to carnivores on a forum. I said, what happens if meat gets so expensive that you can't afford it? How are you going to live if this is the only option you've given yourself? So I don't want to be that. I don't want to be an obligate carnivore for that reason. I want to keep my options open so that I can still live and survive on what I have, and it not be a complete shock to my system because I have to stop eating something that's all I've been eating, right? So anyway, well, you guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's later, it's 25 minutes later than I would normally be on here, but I really appreciate you hanging out with me and listening to my story. And I hope you pass this video on to other people because what they're doing with our food, the poisons and the toxins and things that they're putting in, the glyphosates that they're putting in the vegetables and things that they're growing, if you can grow your own stuff, do what you can, right? At least you'll know what's in the soil. And look into a different way of eating to get rid of the chronic inflammation, uh, Roundup, don't eat that. um, you will feel a lot better. That's why a lot of people feel better, right? When I told you they get rid of the carbs, and they lose 10, 20 pounds of fluid, that all that was locked up in your cells. And that's what makes you sore and inflamed all over. And that's why when people lose all that water weight, they feel so much better. And they haven't even started losing the fat yet. They just lost the water that was causing the swelling. So, yeah, I have never seen it where I drink salt water and lose weight. If I did that before, I'm telling you, I'd have stroked out. I'd have had a stroke for real because of the toxins that's in white table salt. So anyway, just think about what I said. I hope you will please share the video. Um, I want to help as many people as I can. That's my thing. A lot of people are caught up in a whole lot of things. I am concerned about people. I'm concerned about my fellow Americans and my brothers and sisters around the world that are going through this stuff, that are being told that they can't farm anymore and all this. What are they going to do, when they can't keep their animals or whatever? How are they going to eat? How are they going to manage? So you have to start now taking care of your health as best you can, having a conversation with yourself. What am I after? Am I after weight loss? Am I after metabolic health? Am I, do I want to repair my mitochondrial DNA? What is it I'm trying to do? And that will determine how you need to proceed, right? So anyhow, having said all that, it was so good being with you guys tonight. Thank you everybody for being on here. Thank you, Constitutional Sacker, for the super chats. I appreciate that. Amanda, you can forgive. You don't have to forget, but you can forgive. If you don't forgive, you're going to be a prisoner to it for the rest of your life. So ask God to help you with that. Open your heart, forgive them, and don't let them do it to you, right? All right. Thanks, Verindia. Thank you, Crafty. Thank you, Constitutional. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, everybody that came on tonight. I'll see you guys the next time I come on. And look, my email is in the description box. So if you don't hear from me, just shoot me an email. Hey, you all right? You still in there? And that's what makes me come back and say, oh my God, how long has it been? I start getting text messages and stuff from people. I'm like, oh, how long has it been? So I told my husband yesterday, I gotta come on and say hi to my peeps tomorrow. So I love you guys. I so appreciate you being here. Have a good rest of your week. Have a very happy 4th of July. We're still independent. We're as free as we choose to be. All right. And I'll see you guys next time I come on. God bless you. Take care.